my name is Tuiana. I'm from Russia. I live in America around 3 years and a half. I am a credential examiner at World Educational Service, and today I'm in podcast at the end of the day with Dipika and Anuz.
Tuiana, thank you so much for being in the podcast.
Thank you, Dipika and Anuz, for having me today. I'm so happy to be here.
So we are recording this podcast at ESU, English Speaking Union, our next office. You have been a student,
Yes,
right?
yes.
How was the experience of becoming a student at ESU?
When you start your study here, you will get the opportunity to have your own mentor, like tutor, where you can practice your English. And this is really helpful, you know, and of course you will get really interesting courses like business, history, or grammar, you know, and the bonus of that program, you can have a professional development preparation here, like to write resume, how to get like your elevator speech. And this is really helpful.
And Tuiana, you have been working at World Education Services for almost 6 months now.
Yes.
So we know there's a story of you coming to America and now landing a professional job at WES. So let's start from the beginning.
Every immigrant have the fear that our education and our professional skills might not valuable in US. And when you try to hear all information around you, the people who, you know, and some people, most of them, they want to try to say you can't get a good job until when you get like American diploma or like something will be happen. I don't know. And you know, they would like I understand that they can't do themselves and they wanna like push you down, like you are not special, like come on, look at you, like your education, your professional skills, here it's like zero. But this is really wrong. I realized that my professional skills and my education, it's really valuable, and most of the immigrants, of course, they know their language, like homeland language, and this is really useful to America when compared to, like, for example, if you have to interview and two candidates, and the one candidate, like immigrant who know the English and other languages, he will be like, I guess, more valuable than the person who was born here, who was raised here, but he knows only one language.
And Tuiana, so how did your career transition to being at WES? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, you know, I was studying here in Arnik.
Okay, which year was that?
2018. In the end of my training, I got offer from Carl. Can you, like, if you would like, you can become, you can get a mentor from Wes. Right now we have like partnership with this company.
Okay. And who is Carl, by the way?
Carl, he is working at Arnik, and he offered me to participate mentoring program with Wes. And that time they got the partnership with this company.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I was thinking about, okay, my training becomes in the end. What should I do? Like, you know, I was literally like desperate. And I was thinking about like, okay, and should I try to find another job by myself? But I know it's really hard. And in America, it's really important connection. And when I got my mentor, her name is Lilu Janderska. She is a credential examiner at WES. And when I saw her at the first time, when Carl, he said like, okay, and like he said my name, and he said like from WES, who will be my mentor. And I saw her like, okay, like, you know, we start to get the conversation the first time. And I'm thinking about like, oh, we are not too much, like, do not match each other. like I was thinking about, okay, maybe we are different.
Mm-hmm.
But the first meeting was like, like just simple.
Yeah.
When you got the second time, third time, when you start to like, reach out about yourself more, where you're from, what you go through.
Yeah. So
And
you talk to each other more and
more.
more, and you learn more about each other.
Yeah, and I realized she's like me,
Right.
She's immigrant.
Mhm.
She's come to US and she learned English here and she got this job. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like my story too. Yeah. And that time when I was working with Lilu Jandarska,
Okay.
my mentor from West, I started participate Vardi Global program.
Okay.
Yeah. And that time I got my first session with my advisor, Mary Sees. And I come to her and we start our conversation, and she asked me about your professional experience, your education, and what you do right now. Where is you work? And I said, like, I'm working in survival job. I do eyelashes extensions at salon. And she asked me, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, like, before I was working at that in this position and that position,
That was back home.
and I have this experience and that experience. And and I said, like, I want to work with something with documents or whatever, but with documents.
Meaning
Because
like with office job.
office job, yeah, exactly. And she said, like, okay. And that time I was like, in the parallel, I was working in Lilu Jandarska. She's my mentor. And she said, like, when we start to working with my resume, she said, like, right now we have open position. In your experience and might valuable in our company for this position, you're good. I mean, like, you should try to get this job, to apply for this job.
Just for our audience, what were you doing back home professionally and academically?
I have my master's degree in history and bachelor degree in law, and I worked in ministry departments, and I work as a teacher at the college.
And Tuiana, you were mentioning how your mentor talked to you about the job position in WES. So how did that happen?
When we start to work, when I start to work with her about my preparation resume, one day she said, like, oh, we have right now open position as a credential examiner at WES, and I see your professional experience and your education. It's like good for us. It's fit for us, and if you would like, you can apply for this position. And that time I start to, like, my mentor from Arnik, his name Bill, he was so supportive of me. He's like, he started to help me to prepare my first interview, phone interview, because it's really hard to pass the phone interview when your English is not good.
Yes.
Right.
And you can't see the person and you can't read the physical expression. Yeah, it's really hard. And that time, Mary, she was really, I'm so grateful to her, because she
Mary from Upward
Global, yeah. She, she's an incredible person. I'm still in touch with her, and she said, like, okay, because when you working at survival job, like more than 2 years, you start to ask yourself your question, are you good enough? It's always like, how to say, like, hard. Oh, I'm starting to cry.
Yeah, every one of us go through that. Yes, I hear you. Yeah, it is tough.
It is tough, yeah. It is in that moment, it was a really painful question for me. At that time, I was work in the salon, and I did eyelashes extensions, and I realized that I'm not happy with this job. because from my home I work only on office, and then when I come to a very global company and I start to talk with Mary Cs, and when we start to discuss about my professional experience and my education, and she saw I'm unhappy person to work my survival job, and she said 3 words. It's really powerful words: no more eyelashes. And I was so grateful to her because that word gave me the power to move forward. And I was prepared really hard to get my first phone interview. And I remember I wrote questions, and I checked everywhere, like internet, how the general question they may ask you. And I remember I was wait my phone call, and when the Jessica, she is HR department at my company, when she called, she started to ask me the question, and I see in my list it wasn't there. you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started like, okay, calm down, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And I started to talk with her, and it was, I mean, like right now I understand always when you have like something, you have to be yourself. Yeah. And I got email. It was, for me, it was 2 weeks when I got the second interview. It was really hard time for me because I was thinking about, I was so obsessed about this job, and my husband at that time, he was so worried about me because he said, if they reject you, you maybe, you will like broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. And he was like, please do not think too much about this job.
Yeah.
And my mentor, because all the time, like, I wanted this job, and my mentor said, like, do not think too much about this job. If it's not work out, it will be hard for you.
Yeah.
And I said, like, okay. And how's to say, when you want something, you have to let it go. And this is something will come to you,
Yeah.
And like, okay, I was like calm down and thinking about, okay, if they really want me, they will send to me the email. And I got this email, I got the second interview. And I remember my second interview.
Was that in-person interview?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I come to Wes. And I remember that time when I was so nervous. And I'm thinking, I realized that I understand correctly what they ask me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I finished my conversation with them. They gave me the test, and I did my test.
Was that a writing test?
It's like when you work as a credential examiner, you have to pay attention about more details.
Okay.
It's like detail-oriented test.
Okay.
Yeah, it was February. It was outside so cold, and I remember when I left the office, I walk near to financial. My office located in financial district, and I remember I walk around and I'm thinking about, it will be cool if I will be worked here. Like, universe, please hear my voice. Like, and that, okay. And I start to wait like answers, and I wait like long. I guess for me it was long, maybe 1 month. It's already like 3 weeks.
2 weeks after
Yeah.
that interview?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like they said like they have open position, or I don't know how the procedure. Maybe they start to check my background because and I got email like, yeah, we offered you job, please come. Yeah.
So when you read that email, what went through your mind?
Yeah.
I cried
You did. Yeah.
a lot. Yeah. This is was happy. Of course it was happy moment, but at the same time it was like, okay, now you know how does it work, and you wanted to say more about about yourself, and you say your story, to tell your story to other immigrants who they knew and who who they are struggle in the same way what I go through, and like I wanted to say, be confident, and you have to think in like positivity all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we have come to the end of the podcast. Tuiana, if anybody wants to reach out to you for any career advice or any advice, what would be the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, email tuianamitakhinova
At gmail.com. Okay, this is the longest email I have ever come across.
Too long. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
if you are emailing Tuiana, make sure you mention at the end of the day in the subject title so that Tuiana knows where these emails are coming from.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal story. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me today.
And before we sign off from today's episode, we would like to thank the English Speaking Union, ARNIC. So if you are a new immigrant, definitely get in touch with ESU ARNIC because they provide free English classes and professional development classes as well.
Yeah, and please do check out our website, podcast@theendoftheday.com, to watch and listen to our previous episode. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the major podcast platform.
It's time to say bye-bye. You take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, a quick note. If you have a personal story that you think might be helpful to the newly arriving immigrants in the US, please contact us. We would love to feature you in our podcast. Go to our website, podcast@theendoftheday.com, and write to us by going to the feedback section.
And by the way, if you love this podcast, you can support us with a small donation. Your help will enable us to continue producing more episodes. The link to support our podcast is in the description below.